Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Joey, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Today, I'm going to be covering the winner of the most recent poll that I put up to you guys, that being the Alternox Prime. I also just want to mention now that since I'm covering the Alternox, I'm going to jump into the Kestrel as the next weapon that we cover because it's part of the Prime Pack, so I'm just going to cover the two. So we have the Alternox here, and I will be going over Alternox build for you guys today. Now, this build I actually have for you is quite powerful, honestly, a bit stronger than what I was expecting. Um, and also, we actually utilize one of the brand new arcanes, which is going to be really, really cool. So, without further ado, we're going to get into it right now. But before we get into the first build, one thing I want to go over real fast is I just want to go over the stat differences between this Alternox Prime and the original Alternox. So the original Alternox, the difference from the original is we're getting a little bit of fire rate, we're getting a bigger magazine, we're getting slightly higher critical chance, 10% more status chance, slightly higher base damage as well. And really all we're caring much so is about the primary fire, as the alt fire of this weapon is not very good for dealing any damage. So all we're really worried about here is everything north of active. This is all just going to be the stats we're going to be worrying about here. So the only thing about this is base damage is pretty low, but we're still going to be able to get it to work. Now, having base electricity on this is going to be really, really nice to allow us to save a mod slot on certain builds that we want to make, or we can even use the mod slot if we so feel like it. But you guys are really, really going to love the build I have for you guys today if you've been looking to use this weapon. So now that I've gone over the differences between the two weapons, let's get into the first build that I have for you guys right now. Alright guys, so here we are in the build that I have for you guys today. Now before I get into any of the arcane or the modding or whatever I have going on here, there's two things that I want to mention. So the first thing that I want to mention is that this weapon has infinite body punch through on the primary fire, which is what we're going to be using on this build. So you don't need shred, you can ignore this 0.6 we're getting from Rifle Elementalist, because we already have infinite body punch through. It just doesn't tell us on the stat page. If you go check it out on the wiki, it'll say it on there. So I just wanted to mention that, as well as this weapon's primary fire has access to multiplicative gun co. So with that being said, that is the only reason why we are running Serration and Galvanized Aptitude at the same time, because Galvanized Aptitude's direct damage per status type affecting the target is actually going to be multiplicative to our base damage sources like Serration, as it is additive. So we run Serration to give us that additive bonus to then be multiplied by Galvanized Aptitude. So now that I've mentioned those two things, we can actually get into the build. Now, the Arcane is what I want to talk about first. What this Arcane is going to do is if an enemy has 10 stacks of a combined status effect, inflicting the same status effect again has a 100% chance to inflict one of the base status effects the element is composed of. So you can see here the build I have on here is a corrosive heat setup. Now, I just want to mention, if you guys want to run no Bane, just put like magnetic capacity here to give you more CO value out of aptitude without prime, or you could find whatever else you want to put here, but I'm going to have Bane here as it's going to give me some very, very nice elemental damage. And I want you guys to understand this is a status damage build. This isn't a crit build. This is a status build. We're going to be doing immense amounts of status damage with this build. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be able to apply massive amounts of status because we have over 100% status on a weapon with 8.5 fire rate, as well as some significant multi-shot stacking from galvanized chambers. So we'll have over 3 instances of shots. So everything is going to allow us to do really, really fast status priming to these enemies. And what that's going to do is not only is it going to stack heat damage that does effective amounts of damage, once we fully strip their armor or strip their armor down to 80%, depending on how you have it set up, whether you're running green shards or not, you will then be getting electric and toxin as well as status effects on the enemies dealing their respective dot tick damage. So this ends up just becoming like an armor stripping blender of dot damage. And it really puts out a lot of damage. I was trying a lot of different builds out. I tried a lot of different styles. And this is what I ended up landing on. And I really think you guys should give this one a try. It's only a 2 forma build, uh, as of right now, I'm running, 60/60, so there's not any big elemental mods taking up space or anything like that. There's not too much room that's needed. Also, it has solid polarization right off the bat, so only two are needed. I also don't have anything in the Exilus slot, but you'll be able to see when I show you guys this weapon in practicality how strong it actually can be. Now, it's not like a meta-breaking new super strong weapon, but this was a weapon that I thought was going to drop, and I thought would be so niche that I never would really want to use it. But after I made this build, I actually think I may see myself using this in some sort of like actual mission, or maybe I'll do it on stream or something for you guys to see, depending on if you guys are interested to see it on stream or so. You can let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, so as far as the entire build goes itself, this is what we have. We have our 60/60 high voltage plus malignant force to give us corrosive plus that nice 120% status chance. We have our Bane Grenier on here so we can double dip on our damage, our status damage, to allow our dots to do significant amounts of damage. It's going to be really, really good. We have Galvanized Chamber out in here for multi-shot stacking. This is going to give us 2.3 multi-shot overall, which is going to be really, really nice. We have Hellfire on here to give us the flat heat damage, as this is corrosive heat, so the heat will still be dealing significant amounts. We have Serration on here, like I said before, to give us our additive base damage to all of our other things like our elements. And then as well as that, we have Galvanized Aptitude to multiply our damage at a final point, which is going to allow us to do some very, very significant damage with this build, as well as Rifle Elementalist to get the status damage multiplier. So with that being said, this is the build that I have for you guys today, and I'm going to get into the showcase for you guys to show you what kind of power this thing has right now. Alright guys, so here we are in the simulacrum. I'm going to give you guys a little showcase on how this works. Don't mind all the extra buffs. I've been in the sim for like an hour and a half, just like messing around with a ton of different stuff. Then I figured I was in here so long, let's just record the Alternox video, as I was messing with it quite a bit. So all the extra buffs aren't active, they're just visual, so just keep that in mind. So what you're going to be able to do with this weapon is you're going to see, obviously, right off the rip, it's not going to be that powerful because you have just your Serration as your base damage source. We don't have our multiplicative damage yet, but now you can see we have our stacks up now. We have 2 for Galvanized Aptitude, we have our multi-shot all stacked up. Now you're going to be able to see, if I shoot this enemy a couple times, not even that many shots, and it's able to take care of all of them. And you can see here, too, that it has the body punch through. It takes care of all of those enemies. No problems at all. So it actually is capable of dealing some pretty significant damage. You could even see here how the dots end up turning out, how the dot damage looks and everything. The dot damage is actually pretty good. You get some pretty significant ticks out of this. And like I said, like you can see here, just off those couple of bullets I shot, I got my 10 heat, my 10 corrosive, and then I also got some electric on top of that. And these are really weak targets that are dying very, very fast. So you don't even have that much time to stack it all up. Now, if I was to change this to something like Manic Bombards, where they have more HP, and I could really dump a little bit of ammo into them, then, you'll be able to see now that you can actually start doing a lot of dot tick stacking. You can see we're actually getting a really solid amount of damage out of this now. You can see, like, the dot ticks alone, I'll just let them tick the enemies here. It actually does a lot of damage. And this is, like, frame buffed. I just have acceleration on my Warframe right now, and my Panzer is priming with viral. That's it. That's really all that's going on. Nothing else is happening on the external part as far as buffing this. And you can see it actually does like some pretty solid dot damage when built correctly like this. Like as far as you have your Banes and your status damage multipliers, and you have like consistent DPS like this, like nice fire rate, you're going to be able to put out some really nice damage. And as you can see, we're getting all those different types of element dot ticks on this. You can see all the different elements we have up there. So it's not like it's just our only source of dot damage is our heat. It's coming from, electric, toxin, as well as we're armor shifting, which just makes them do so much more damage. You can see the armor's all gone. Now toxin and electric can really shine. I mean, same with heat, but heat is already able to strip down to 50%. So, heat already has like a little bit of stripping capability, but corrosive being able to strip stuff down so toxin and electric can really shine is very, very powerful. And you'll probably be seeing a lot more kinds of my status builds being made like this, especially corrosive type stuff, because electric and toxin are very, very strong dot types in Warframe. Not typically regarded as good as heat, but very, very solid dot types, especially when supported correctly. And you can see here, even without me obviously like doing any priming or anything like that. Now, if I do prime these enemies, you'll be able to see like what's one shot gonna do to this guy. It puts some decent, one bullet out of this high fire weapon puts some decent ticks on him. Nothing too crazy, but still a decent amount of ticks. So you're really, really easily able to put out a lot of dot damage with this weapon. Now, I'm not saying this is like meta or top tier weapon, but if you guys are looking to use this build definitely puts in some serious work. And like I've been saying, these are meant to emulate level cap trash. If I just kill these off and I go back to the heavies, you guys will see again just what kind of damage this puts out. It's really ridiculous. Like, it does great dot damage. You don't need to focus on enemies for that long. And it just works really, really well. So as far as builds for this weapon go, I would definitely recommend that you guys give this build a try because it's definitely putting out a ton of damage. As you guys can see here, this is the same exact build that I just showed you guys. So very, very good stuff here. I would definitely recommend you guys give this one a try. Alright guys, so I really hope you guys enjoyed the build video today. I honestly feel that the Alternox was a pretty pleasant surprise to me, at least. I wasn't expecting much. I didn't think that even this video would be anything remotely, like, useful for someone to want to watch because this weapon is just not great. But this build is actually pretty solid. So, if you guys have any other builds for this weapon, let me know, what you guys have. I would love to have some other options for it, but as far as being able to deal significant damage with the Alternox, the build that I showed you guys will definitely work fantastic for you. So I just want to thank you guys for watching the video, taking the time out of your day to watch. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you guys thought. Sub to the channel. It helps me out a ton. Thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your night.